Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, we're back.
Hey, hey, hey. Do you remember that cartoon that was the Fat Albert cartoon? Did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
It's so it's so creepy now to think about. Like, that was just like a cartoon that was on, but that dude's totally like a hardcore, sex abuser.
Well, that's a way to start a podcast.
I know everybody loved Bill Cosby so much.
Yeah.
He even had a cartoon. He was the Jello Pudding Pop Man.
I was an avid Cosby Show watcher too.
Oh, were you really?
I really like that show. But...
That wasn't even on the radar today for us to be talking about on the level.
No, I'm not sure how we landed here.
I just said, hey, 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 and I was like, ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay with me if we want to move on to something else.
Yeah, but that cartoon was funny. And also, when you think about it, too, it's like, I don't think it would do well today. Even without Bill Cosby, I don't think it would do well today.
Yeah. There's a lot of cartoons that probably shouldn't.
No, didn't age very well.
No,
Did not age very well at all. No, that's true. So, except He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
That reminds me. What did you watch today?
I know. I'm so excited. It wasn't He-Man, but it was She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah, She-Hulk dropped today. And so I watched the first episode. I have been waiting.
Yeah. What'd you think? I
love the Hulk so much. And, by association, his green cousin, She-Hulk. I loved it. Yeah. I thought it was great. It was just enough humor, but obviously not a comedy, Yeah. The action wasn't like a lot of big fights and all that kind of stuff, even though they fought each other at one point, and that was kind of fun to watch.
They really were setting the stage for the storyline. So
yeah. So having seen like a lot of the things that are coming and that sort of thing, yeah, I'm just a big fan. I'm a big fan. So I can geek out on this stuff, quite a lot.
Yeah. I did.
So you might not want to let me just run away with it. So
I did find it interesting though that they put a lot of things in there for dimension, like how tall they end up getting when they turn into the Hulk, but I did find that I just thought she would get bigger.
You mean more muscular?
Yeah, and she just looks like somebody just left CrossFit. I don't know.
Yeah, she just looks really tall and athletic. Yeah.
Yeah, her boobs did grow though. I'm not really sure how that. Part of the
well, it would be weird if they stayed the same size when she grew.
Well, yes.
You mean unproportionally? You mean
from
they grew
what she
more,
was before?
They grew more. What I think is funny too is like her hair grows out to this long flowing weave, and her hair's pretty short, and well, not really short, but just
which is just seems strange because I know it's not testosterone that's causing her Hulkness,
right?
But
it's gamma radiation.
It's gamma
a lethal dose, by the way.
Yeah, but I would just expect that if you're, you usually get less feminine, and it seemed like she, in some ways, got more.
But not with gamma radiation.
Give me some gamma.
It maintains all the best parts of you and makes other parts even better.
I think if I got some Hulk blood in my blood, I think I would probably stay Hulk
all the time. What was it that he said too? Like fear and anger are what bring about, and she's like, that's the baseline of every woman.
Yes. I was like, okay, so either I would handle this really well, or this is not a good combo.
I feel like I got all the Hulk rage and none of his muscle tone or strength. I'm just like, I just go rage
with
beast.
Your arthritic thumbs.
But I can't quite grip things. I rage and Hulk out because I can't hold on to a wrench while I'm trying to tighten a bolt. That's what makes me upset. Is it keeps slipping out of my hands.
Remember that time youth group I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh into the mic.
Yeah.
When you came as Earl, Hulk's redneck cousin
Earl, and I wore a wife beater with my big belly, and
you
my,
painted yourself green.
I painted myself green, and I painted and I put a like a root beer bottle, not a beer bottle, but in my basketball shorts waistband.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, what's funny is that character actually exists.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, not Earl, and not just like that, but there is a whole Hulk storyline, like, in the future, and it's like a whole family of Hulks, and they're all, like, inbred rednecks, like cannibals and all kind, like, they're vile, gross, wicked monsters, you know? Wow. So it's kind of funny. I didn't actually know about them then, but I do now.
And then you've got this Hulk series that's, yoga and
yes.
shit. So yeah.
Hey, what are you drinking today?
I don't know. You made it for me. I think you.
You know exactly what I'm.
Painted Lady gin, but it's a barrel aged gin.
Yeah, so it's
nice and colorful.
It's bourbon barrel aged gin, but we made old fashions with it because I really like it. So this is a distillery that's here in Astoria, where we are. We'll get to that in a minute. And last time we were in Cannon Beach, we found a tasting room of theirs, and really liked their gin.
Yeah.
And so it's
and their Bloody Mary mix was amazing.
Oh, they have an amazing Bloody Mary mix too. Yeah. And then so we got a thing of this. I'm always curious about barrel aged gins and stuff too. So we got a bottle of this, and I think it's a sipper. Like I love it, but it also makes a really good old fashioned. So let's actually. Cheers to another episode. And I have our
Puffin Wines Cannon Beach. And that makes me think of Erica Addington. She
with the puffin.
Yeah, the puffins. Yeah. And we saw one last time.
God damn, that's good. Wow, that's good. That is just that's just good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So super happy with that. So we didn't say the name of the distillery. It's Pilot House Distilling. So, based in Astoria, but they have a tasting room in Cannon Beach. I think they have a tasting room in Portland too.
Is it Astoria or Astoria?
Astoria.
I think it's Astoria.
I don't know. We should ask somebody else because both of us are just going to give our fucking opinions. So where are we? We're here in Astoria. Well, we're not really in Astoria. We're about 30 minutes out. So.
Yeah, we're. I think the closest little town is Olney, Olney.
It's not even really. It's not a town.
It's on there.
I know, but it's like two churches across the street from each other.
They have a church and a bar, so I think that makes them a
town.
town.
I don't even think they have a bar.
They do. Right there in the little store we were in, it's a saloon. Olney Saloon. All their memorabilia and stuff is sitting there, and yeah, absolutely. So they're officially a town.
You think those two places were the same place? I'm really asking. I don't know if they.
No, there was a separate door on the outside.
No, not the store and the saloon. I believe that could be a thing. But it seemed like there was a decent amount of space between where the churches were and where that little store was, which I know that there's a sign that says the churches are only. Right. And then the store seemed like it was further up,
but the saloon was called Olney Saloon.
Don't you want to keep saying only?
It's really messing with
me. It's Olney, not only.
Olney.
It's the only saloon in Olney.
Yeah. There were a lot of Trump flags.
It's the only saloon. Yes, there were. In fact, there was what you thought there was a hand-painted Trump flag.
It looked like it was wooden at first. So I was like, oh, shit,
but it was this thing. Proudly and prominently displayed right over the entryway to their house, like right on their front stoop there.
I did see some shirts in the little store there where we got gas and ice cream.
Yes, because we did.
I saw shirts and hats that said, "Eat elk." And then they were inside the outline of the state of Oregon, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, to put on a shirt, eat elk.
Oh,
eat elk
instead of eat beef.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
weird.
That is a little weird because I mean, I get the eat beef thing because that's ranchers who make their living from it. And they're like, no, please use our product so we can make money, make a living. Yeah, but eat elk.
I don't know. It was.
I don't
weird.
know what industry is really. I mean, there's lots of different industries.
Camouflage. So.
Oh, maybe that's.
I don't know. Do you see a theme here?
Maybe it was just fun. Yeah. So we are up above Astoria, and on the top of kind of on the top. We're pretty much on the top of a hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on top of a mountain. This is not a hill.
Okay.
It's a mountain.
Okay. Small mountain.
It's
large
not
hill.
a small mountain.
It's a large hill.
Honey,
it's a small mountain.
I was looking at. Shut up. Oh my gosh.
So, but
I'm gonna drink more.
we have a couple of criteria when we're looking specifically for a place like this, because this is a certain type of place that we look for, where it's like far enough out that we're relatively sure we won't be running into people with any kind of regularity.
Right.
We had one person drive up the drive where we're parked here to this campsite.
Well, and there's a reason why we will set time aside to not be around people, because we usually have recordings to do.
Yeah.
We have
big
work
projects to work. We have to do
yeah.
And we just get in here and we'll work for 10 hours a day and stop to eat, and really that's about it.
Yeah, we kind of pound out a lot of stuff in a short period.
So these
are
like concentrated work times for us. So which are, I mean, I like it. I like to be up here, but it. Again, with some of the stuff we talked about last week, with some of our, the restrictions that we have to being able to go like full off grid,
Yeah.
we still have to, look at about 4, maybe 5. We can push to 5 sometimes. In fact, are we pushing to 5 this time? No, I think we're only yeah, we are. Yeah. No.
We just got here yesterday.
Yeah. No, we did not.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Who cares? Nobody wants to hear this shit.
No, nobody does. I don't even want to hear it.
Okay, so anyway, we're up here, and it's there's a part of it I think that's beautiful, but there's another part to where we're like, I mean, seriously, it's such thick shrub trees, like all the way around us that like
really
you can't see anything. Like like we feel like we're in this little compound almost.
Yeah, yeah.
So when there's
kind of
one
the
road up,
opposite of what we had at the beach.
At the beach, yeah. And so, but it's been.
But
it's been.
You do get to poop in the forest.
I do, and let me tell you, nothing's better than that.
You came in the other night and you're like, I don't know what it was, but there is something out there, and I'm not going back out.
There was something rustling around in the trees. It was not small. I'm not going to say it was huge, but it was not small. So it wasn't like a little mouse or something. It was bigger than a mouse, smaller than a Sasquatch. So, pretty sure it wasn't a Sasquatch. Pretty sure it wasn't a mouse. There's a lot of shit in between that. And you were like, oh, I left my shoes out there. I don't want something to eat it. And I'm like, well, you got to take a chance because fuck that. And then I was like in the window shining my flashlight out all over. Like, are there going to be eyes facing back at me? If there were, I just shit my pants. I know.
You had already done that outside.
I did not shit my pants outside.
Never mind.
No, but that's a different kind of thing, It's like when you get really scared, it's not about whether you have to go or not. So it's about your body just like, preparing for the flight mechanism. So
when I get scared, I just go into anger mode. So I skip the whole poop my pants part.
There's you running from what you thought was a rabid wolf right at me that says otherwise story that we could get into at some point. No, but you were not angry either.
That's true.
Yeah. So these are the kinds of things that go through our mind when we're out here in places like this where it's pitch black. Yeah. We're out here in the middle of nowhere. It's like the things that go through my mind is that like if I turn the light on, I know there's going to be some gray, scrawny, like skeletal figure out there hunched over but on two legs with like long claws and sharp teeth, and it's just gonna like look at me and its eyes are gonna shine. And I like seriously, these kind of things go into my head, and I'm like, and that's why I won't turn on the light, because I'm like, I know it's out there. If I turn on the light, it will be there. And so I just don't turn on lights.
See, you go, full on alien-ish
monster.
Yeah,
monster
I'm not sure
mode.
what that is. I go to like Chainsaw Massacre kind of thing, like totally human.
Yeah.
Psycho, who knows that nobody's gonna find anything up here in these woods.
Right.
And that's what's going to come after us. Nobody knows we're here. Nobody cares where we are. And they'll just be like, oh, they didn't put out a podcast this week. Oh, well, that sounds normal.
That sounds normal. Hasn't been normal for 4 whole episodes now.
Yeah, well, we're pushing it. We get later and later on Thursdays, but
that's not okay. Listen. Okay. We're like TGIF on ABC back in the day, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we're like this is prime time, baby. We're dropping our podcast at prime time.
What, Thursday nights is not prime time.
That's when Survivor. We're up against Survivor, and we're doing great.
You're gonna push this and push this and push this, and it will start to be a Friday launch, and I will be so pissed off.
I will change my ways.
I need a schedule. Have I not said this on every single podcast? My hardest adjustment is schedule.
Listen, there are things that happen in our life that, anyway, we're getting a little too much into the inner workings of our dysfunction right now.
Get your foot off me.
No, it's not on you.
It's very scratchy.
Oh my God. This is going to be one of those episodes. So let's talk about something else.
What?
We had, so we're up here right now, but since the last episode, when we were on the beach.
Oh my gosh, so much has happened.
Yeah, we went in and stayed in the Seattle area, Issaquah, with our friends Mark and Christy.
That was like resort RVing.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, we never stayed anywhere like that before.
And I'm really not a fan of it,
No,
so,
there was a lot of pavement.
Yeah, but it was great to spend time with them. We went into Seattle, saw lots of shit in Seattle. You really liked the
showers.
Yeah, I did. Because anytime I get a not shower in our tiny little shower, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And then we went and ate at the Well and Table again, which is, I know we talk about this so much, but it's like, oh my God, it's such good food.
We're going to go broke eating there, though.
Well, that's why we can't go eat there again for a year. So,
seriously.
Because we did drop a few bucks there. Of course, we were there for like 3 hours and like had a constant stream of, drinks and apps and, and then dinner and desserts and all that kind of stuff. But it was such a great time. We had so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. We had
the
a great
staff,
time.
And Jason and Christian and we're, both working that night. And so,
got to meet Christian's girlfriend.
Yep. And so we got to hang out and just, shoot the shit with them and all that kind of stuff. So that was such a blast. But then after that, we went back coastal again, so on the west side of the Cascades.
We also spent some time in Seattle, and we had what you said was probably the best clam chowder you've ever had.
Oh yeah. Excuse me.
I had like a curry chowder. It was vegan because I don't eat fish.
Right.
So there was nothing else on the menu. I had one option, but it was so good. God, it's snot or something. No, that's oysters.
That's oysters.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's fine.
Blah.
Yeah, we did have but it was fun. And then we got a slow jam to some 80s worship tunes out in the park while we were there too. So that was kind of fun.
Oh.
Yeah. So
were those worship songs?
Oh yeah. Like seriously, like serious slow jam 80s worship.
I didn't realize that's what I was.
Maybe 90s. 80s was a long time ago now.
I know. I get it mixed up.
I know.
What's what?
Maybe even 2000s, because the 90s was a long time ago. So, and then so yes, we had some fun in Seattle, and then we went back towards the coast, because it's just getting, it's been hot. We talked about this already. We're not going to go into that again. And it's watching the weather. It's supposed to have another heat wave come through. It's where we got to get, coastal, which is why we're out here right now. But we found this this Harvest Host site, and again, Harvest Host is a service we use where you can, stay at farms, breweries, wineries, that kind of stuff.
Yet to stay at a winery,
and just people's houses too. They just kind of open up, and you can, you pay like $120 a year, and you can just request to stay at their place for free. And they're like, yeah, come on, So we were at this farm. Well, it was a little different at this place. It's not uncommon for a business to host, several.
Multiple,
But she had I think it was 9 there.
The second night,
Yeah, and it was it was 8 or so, 7 or 8 the night before. When the first night we were there, we stayed there 2 nights. But I
think we were closer to 6. But
we talk a lot of shit about not liking people and all that kind of stuff.
It's shit.
We met incredible people there. It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
We had talked about, we've had a lot of fun with different people all along the way, but this was very unique.
It was.
None of us knew each other.
No.
And this Harvest Host, it was a little goat farm.
Yeah.
And it had, oh my gosh, the flowers, the flower gardens, and she had some vegetable gardens too, but things weren't ripe, so I don't know what all was what.
Right.
But these goats were right outside our door.
Yeah.
And so when we pulled up, it was funny because I had a call almost immediately, like a class that I had to be at. And so I just set up right away while you finished getting everything done outside, and I just get to work on my thing, and I keep hearing stuff out there, and people on my call were like, what is that sound? Are you around a bunch of children, like a playground? I'm like, I don't know what's out there. So I rolled up the window and I'm like, yeah, it's kids, goat kids. and they were just, they were so cool though. They were super friendly. The Deb, the farmer, knows them all by name. And it's like this, I don't know, it was super cool. But the people that we met there, we all gathered around for what she hosts, a little happy hour.
Yeah.
And she serves her goat cheese and her...
Which, oh my God. I don't know if I've ever had goat cheese before.
I have, but this was not what I've had before.
I mean, I couldn't stop eating it. It was so good.
It was so good. And then she also had what was a huckleberry liqueur.
Well, it's like
rhubarb.
It was like
rhubarb.
And rhubarb and something else. But they grow a lot of rhubarb there too. So on the farm.
And so it kind of brought us all together, and we all just started talking and hanging out, and it wasn't like a real happy hour, like a full on bar. We all had a drink, but it wasn't anything like that.
Yeah, we were just hanging out, getting to know each other.
There were some tables there. And
learn about the farm, learn about what she's doing, getting to know each other. What are you doing? Where are you from?
Where are you going? All those questions. And everybody had a story. And so the happy hour moved to our place.
Yeah.
And it's the first party we've hosted at
totally
our pod.
Is. Yeah.
And
I was making espresso martinis.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
And it was just... we didn't get to bed till 1:00.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know if I've had that much fun in so long with people I absolutely didn't know. And by the next day, we're all hugging goodbye and, all of that. It was like, we just had this, we shared stories.
Yeah.
We just shared, all of our stories.
Yeah.
It was pretty, amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I learned something in this moment. You all come into this this happy hour, meeting each other for the first time, and you have a little bit of a pretense that you come with, right?
Right.
You aren't sure what you should share, what you can't share, who you are, who voted for who. Like, you don't know this stuff, right? And
the important stuff.
Well, it's pretty divisive.
Well, yeah, but who's religious, who's not? What can you?
I mean, because
what can I say here?
Can
I? Can I? Should I swear? Should I not swear? Should I?
Yeah, and so I
usually just dive right in to break the ice. Let everybody know.
Well,
it's okay.
We won them all over with espresso martini. So with lifelong friends after that. But so if all of you guys, you know who you are and you're listening.
Oh, such a great time. We loved our time.
I already miss you guys.
Yeah,
I'm ready to find you guys out there again. But but we just had such a beautiful night. Had so much fun. And for me, can I just keep talking? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I met this girl, Amanda. Her husband, Matt, are traveling together for like 9 months on the road in a Sprinter van.
Yeah, their intention is to be full time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're full time nomads. I'm just gonna say
they're
it.
full time, and with.
So we connected on that.
Yeah. And so anyway, we're kind of talking, and it comes up that we do podcasts.
Yeah.
And Amanda her eyes just lit up, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's been my dream to have a podcast and to even be on a podcast. And I was like, well, I interview women from all over the world for my podcast. And she's like, what? And I said, so why don't you just come over tomorrow and we'll podcast? So we did.
Yeah.
And she shared her story, which I'll release on my Connected podcast. And so it just felt so good to be able to make somebody's, dream happen, to be able to do that. And I think she's hooked. If we see a podcast started by her somewhere in the future,
That's right.
I won't be surprised. And then a lot of the people that were there that night, except for Matt and Amanda, left the next day to go
all
on.
All the people.
Yeah, to go on their travels.
It was just the two of us that left, and then a whole new group came in.
And, I have to say I was a little nervous because I'm like, wait a minute, we had such a good time last night. I don't know. You can't do that twice.
Right.
And then I was a little concerned that, you just don't know. You just don't know. Like,
you don't know. And
you don't
know. It felt like just like a really unique experience.
Yeah.
And so then it was like,
maybe
now all these other people are here.
Well, and then I thought maybe we should have just left and like let it be what it was, right? And but then we met more people.
Yeah.
And not all of the people connected. I think a few of them had kind of come together, but
there
was one woman who was traveling completely by herself with her husky. From the East Coast.
Yeah, her name was Amanda also.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then we met this guy, Joe.
Yeah.
And
you're going to hear about Joe someday. Like everybody's going to know who Joe is someday.
Yeah. So I put a picture of us with Joe and Amanda and Matt on our Instagram page.
Yeah.
But Joe is he's a nomad, traveling in a schoolie.
He's a passionate photographer. Like, and I say that very intentionally because he gets
lost in.
I know there's some employment around it as well, but what he loves is just to find people and to just take their pictures. And he did it. Yeah. He took all of our pictures while we were there.
Yeah, he did. And it was almost like he's one of those people. He reminds us of ourselves in this one way.
I mean, he's way more cool than I am, but not you, but me.
Yeah, definitely cooler than you. But as much as he wants and needs to make money with the thing that he does with his life, it's also like a gift he gives to the universe.
Right.
And so that struggle, that tension with making money but you can't help but do that thing that makes you light up inside. Yeah. So it was really exciting to be a part of that. He has a podcast that he does with a friend of his, Tim, and we all set up inside his schoolie, and we were going to go live or not live podcast, but we were going to record a podcast with an audience.
Yeah, and he invited us all in to sit there.
And we just had the worst connection.
They couldn't get
cell connection or the internet connection, so it didn't actually play out and happen. I was so disappointed, but it was just great to walk into his schoolie and into his home and sit in his space where he's used to doing these podcasts and just be part of his world.
Yeah. And we should name it. We should say what his podcast is in case anybody else wants to check it out. Yeah. So the No Name Road Show. Is the name of his podcast
with Tim and Joe.
Yeah,
and we haven't had a chance to listen to an episode yet of his podcast, and so we plan on doing that as we travel.
Yeah,
which is really exciting. But but yeah, it's just like well, and then it didn't end. It didn't end.
No.
We, Joe took everybody's pictures.
Yeah.
And he just watching him do his thing was, you just felt like you were in the presence of something very spiritual for him.
Yeah.
And then later that night, we Joe and Tim and Amanda, not Tim, sorry, Matt and Amanda, and us got together at Amanda and Matt's place, like 50 feet away. And we just...
Which they have an amazing Overlander build, Sprinter build.
Yeah,
oh, my
absolutely.
God.
And we just spent the evening talking, and we talked about real stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So by the end of the weekend, my soul was just so full. Like, it had amazed me that with people we've never met before, that we could have such connection with and have such an experience that we all walked away going, this was like a moment in time, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I totally agree. And you know, like I said, we bullshit a lot about not liking people, but it's not really the case.
I have a very specific list. Like, I don't like stupid drivers. I don't like people who back up in traffic.
I would say, but more than not liking people, I would say that
I don't like behaviors.
Okay, but that. So what I am trying to say, I now understand what you are saying, but what I am trying to say is that it's more about just being leery of people. And this is a lot of, and I'm not really intending to go into this at all right now. It's just something that's actually I'm kind of recognizing right now in this moment. But that, you know, we've had a lot of shit with people, you know, and you know, especially all my years of, you know, being a pastor and all that kind of stuff, people that you loved and trusted and thought loved and trusted us, and, you know, and that would, you know, that turn on us and all that, and we're just like, you know what, I've grown like leery of especially new people. You just don't know.
Well,
and
some of the people we've met along the way who are new to us, and we try to
have reinforced it.
And I'm not saying everything is a bad experience, because it hasn't been. But you get a few bad apples out there who their only purpose in building relationship with you is to convert you to what they believe. I'm just like,
the whole, and I just want to say, listen. I know all too well about quote unquote friendship evangelism. And I'll just say it right now, you can fuck right off. You know, it's like, I don't want you trying to become my friend so you can evangelize me. Anyway, that's kind of a side track to say that, you know, when you can actually, like, it's not about not liking people. It's a like being leery. It's about like feeling like we have to kind of protect ourselves a little bit. And you know what? Honestly, I don't think we did that enough at certain times in our life. I agree, you know, and we let people in that we shouldn't have let in. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not trying to play a victim card here. I mean, we have certainly hurt people too. You know, I think for the most part we own that when we do. But anyway, so it's just so amazing when, you know, you can connect with a new group of people and like, no, I really like these humans. Like I want to be here with them. Like I don't want to be anywhere else in this moment than right here with these humans. Yeah. And it was, you know, for the most part, it was the same thing on the sailing trip too, right?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Just a group of people that we knew one person, and, you know, Mark, and we didn't even know him that well. Right.
No.
And we're like, okay, let's go sailing together for 10 days, you know? And, you know, again, amazing people. So I don't know. I just feel like I think
it's gonna, you know, you and I we've been through a lot, and and we left the church community feeling this mix of both supported and loved.
Yeah.
And used up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you feel both things probably equally, you don't quite know what to do with it, you know?
Yeah.
You tend to gaslight yourself a little bit and say, it wasn't all that bad. I'm just whiny today or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that when you start to see it play out as we travel and we see our hesitancy to, it's not even about being ourselves, because I don't think that's really an issue. It's just being open to people again. I think that's really hard.
Yeah.
We absolutely loved the running community, and I think that for the roles you and I had, we never felt with the runners in Spokane that we were being used in any way.
No.
No, it didn't feel like
great.
And
it was really wonderful.
I felt like it was very mutual. We were all in this like life of running together. The business of running, that's another topic.
Yeah.
But so I think just getting out here and taking with us the relationships that are important to us as we travel, but also being open to who we might meet on the road.
Yeah.
I think it brings up some of those things, some of those feelings of, I see it in both of us. Like when we went to that happy hour, we both tend to sit back and watch for a little while.
Yep.
And try and read the room and try and see, okay, where do we fit in this? And then there's a part where I think both of you and I just go, fuck it. Like,
yeah.
I don't care. I just want to enjoy at whatever level, we get past that little nervousness.
Yeah.
And we just say, hey, let's just have fun. And
usually there's a couple of drinks that help with that.
Yeah, it might. But it ended up being, honestly, one of the most beautiful experiences that I've had in a long time. So,
the other part of it too, I think, might be that, we spent most of our years together, and certainly most of our living years, in a space where you are supposed to trust, love, welcome everyone, no matter what they do, no matter what they, how they, no matter what their track record of relationship with you is. I mean, it doesn't matter. You're just supposed to be open arms, loving, forgiving, accepting of everyone, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so, now, we're, like I said, we're a little more guarded. We're a little more careful. We're a little more protective of ourselves. We don't just jump right into new relationships, right? But I can't help but wonder if that just feels like we don't like people now.
Well, I think it can come across that way.
No, not come across. I'm talking about internally. Oh. Like if there's some of that that's going on, because it's a different balance of where we're at, and because we were so off balance one way before, finding balance feels like we hold people at arm's length. Well, that must mean I don't like people, and so I just wonder if we're actually just more normal, like the rest of the world, and and that, I interpret that heavily because of what it used to be before. So, maybe we're not so bad after all. Maybe I'm not. I'll say that. I'm not going to say we're not. Maybe, and I'm not trying to say that you still.
I was like, wait,
Jesus,
how do I
I'm
take
just
that?
I'm just trying to own my own shit and not put it on you too. So
no, it's really interesting. This probably isn't the direction we wanted to go in this conversation, but I'm going to go there anyway. I'm finding that, before we sold the house, we were living somewhat of a predictable life in terms of I went to work, got up at a certain time, or I'll speak for myself, got up at a certain time.
Yes, because I didn't.
Because, your life got really crazy after COVID. But, and it was sort of like, okay, I know how to operate in this, right? I know the healing and the work that I've done in my life. I know in the relationships that were around me, I knew what I could trust and for the most part, and what I couldn't, and I just kind of did that thing. But there's something about selling everything, putting your life into like 100 square feet. I don't even know if we have that. And putting your life out there without any perceived security blankets, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know what tomorrow's going to be. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know if this grocery store is going to have a bathroom that's usable. Like, I mean, you just don't know what the day is going to be. And then I'm trying to build a business at the same time. And, you know, I just spent yesterday on a call with my life coach and business coach, and realizing that some of this old shit is still coming up. Like,
because it is deep.
It is deep. And one of the things that came up for me was around money and how I perceived, you know, what it means to be successful and what it means to fail. And these old stories of our finances being observed by an entire congregation. An entire congregation decides how much money we're worth. Right. And then if we take a certain kind of vacation, then that's too frivolous. If we buy a certain kind of car, then that's, I mean, I actually got talked to by elders about a car that we bought. So there's such this, this tie to how, to whatever normal you were talking about. Maybe we're just normal. I go, I don't know that we are, because we've got all this other shit that we don't quite know what to do with.
Right.
You know, I was asked in my coaching call yesterday, you know, what does wealth feel like to you? And all I could come up with was it's anything beyond need.
Right.
How crazy is that?
Right.
Anything beyond need.
Yeah.
So I just realized that, you know, there's still a lot of, you know, things that we're processing in this journey that are the journey itself is bringing up and asking us to kind of interact with and to face relationships with people, trusting people,
right.
But also just all the stuff that went around what it means to actually live a life, right?
Yeah.
So
the road brings a lot of shit up.
Yeah. It's kind of, I mean, it's
because you get out of your, I mean, we don't have the same, like the routines to, like, that you can just fall into.
They kind of buffer.
Yeah.
You know, you can kind of say, okay, this is how I can do life. And and it feels good, so I can work in this lane, right? And then you take all those parameters off and you just say, well, it's kind of open to anything now.
Yeah, and now we got to deal with some stuff.
And then you go, oh, that's there. Yeah. Wow. Okay, I thought I had that handled, but now it's just in a different vessel, I guess.
So there was a conversation that kind of spurred off of our conversation, you know, that last night that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit, because I think there's a lot to unpack there. But before we do that, let's take a quick break. Does that sound good?
Okay. Quite sassy today.
Yeah.
Like I don't quite know where this next, you know, conversation's gonna go. You know, I had a good cry yesterday, so the sass is here.
I didn't know what to do. I'm not usually like that, but I was like, "You're crying."
I'm paying a life coach to let me cry. So
I know, but there was like, there was seriously like everything was seemingly fine, and then all of a sudden you're crying, and I'm like, I don't know what to do right now because I don't know what happened.
I was totally talking about you.
I guess I'm thinking about a different time because you've cried twice since we've been here.
That crying.
That crying was.
Oh my God, that is going to come up in my road story.
In your road story.
Oh my God.
Oh, so I am directly responsible.
You are directly responsible for that one. Yeah, for sure. Oh
Jesus. I think that's been a good show for today, and we might.
Oh no, I'm just starting to have fun.
So when we went to our delightfully refreshing break,
Because
it wasn't that funny.
It's just the things I know.
Oh. Listen, there's letting people into our inner sanctum, our sacred space, as it once was called, and then there's our sacred space.
Well, it wasn't all that fun. It was just, Anyway,
so yeah, we take breaks for reasons, So what I was going to say though is that during our time at the Harvest Host with all our new friends,
yeah,
we did have this conversation that got pretty serious, and one of them just said, in all this, being on the road and all that, is the world really as bad as it feels like it is? Does it really, and not bad, I don't know if that was the word that is it really as chaotic? Is it really as out of control as it feels like it is? It was kind of
and I took
that's not a quote. That's
half a second to say yes.
Yes, you were like, fuck yeah. But we talked about it for a while, and there's this part of it where it's like, yeah, it really does feel chaotic and crazy and out of control, and like people are just like so divided and and at the same time we have these incredible moments too,
Yeah.
And it's something that I've heard pretty much my entire life growing up, is the old timers, of which, we're getting there. That we're like, well, in my day,
Can I just note, we made friends with 30-year-olds or 30-somethings. I felt quite accomplished.
Yes, but also 70-somethings. So, yeah, we were.
The whole gamut.
They were all there. Yeah, we were kind of in the middle.
One couple married for 52 years.
Yeah, they were amazing. They were sweethearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Love them. But it's this thing of like, this has been, like every generation, I think, kind of gets to the point where they're like, well, it used to be better than this. Back in my day when I was growing up, it used to be better than this. And there's this part where, like, if you have any amount of common sense at all, which not everyone does, but if you do, then you recognize that, so much of what you look back on and think was the glory days and the, just the beautiful times and kids running in the yard and not coming home till the sun goes down, all that kind of stuff, was just young, ignorant perspective, and it's like, as you grow older, you become aware of much more of the world, and the world seems to close in and feel a bit darker. And I don't know that things are any more chaotic or out of control or wild than they used to be. There have been some truly horrible, chaotic times in the world's history. Mm-hmm. You are just saving up. I guess you're just like chomping at the bit right now.
Oh, I just want to know Are you asking me a question in this?
No, this is all.
Oh. Are you avoiding asking me questions?
What I'm trying to do is not stop talking, because as soon as I do, you're going to start, and then I'll be like, Jesus Christ.
You brought this up.
All right. Your turn.
Well, history does repeat itself. So there are some things that just aren't new under the sun. Yeah. But, one conversation we've found ourselves in multiple times is that technology has changed the way we do life. It wasn't a factor in how we grew up as kids, not in the sense that it is now.
Yeah, but
I'm not done.
I know, but this is pertinent to what you just said. Does that just simply make us more aware of the chaotic craziness?
No. What it does is it creates its own issues that never existed before.
Like what?
Social issues, for one.
That's true.
Information issues. How we get our information, how much information we get, how much.
Are you talking about like reliability of information, false information, all that kind of stuff, or just? I'm
just saying, when I was growing up as a kid, if you wanted to watch the news, there was like a 5 o'clock local, 6 o'clock national, and then at 10 o'clock there was another news, and then at 10:30 David Letterman came on.
Yeah,
like this was the routine. This is how you got information,
Thank
right?
God.
Well,
that you didn't say Jay Leno. Thank God.
Well, it was because when I was at my grandpa's house, it was David Letterman. When I was at my house, everybody was in bed. But what I'm saying is that there was one funnel in which information came in. The phone that I had growing up was corded, hooked to the wall.
Jesus Christ, you're old.
I know. We had to share it. Two people couldn't be on a phone at the same time in one household.
Right.
Your social life stopped when you left school, and then you had a different social life when you came home with possibly neighborhood kids.
Wednesday night youth group, there was a different social life.
And then if you chose to pick up that phone that you had to share with the other family members in the house, then you might have continued social life, right? And
also somebody else might pick up the other line in the house and then hear whatever you're saying. So you better be careful.
And the big dilemma was, do I answer the call waiting or do I ignore it and like it never happened?
Right.
So when you look at the complexity of how we live today, obviously we've merged our way into this. We've evolved into it. Our kids don't understand the big shift that you and I had to make in life with technology.
Sure.
But to say that it doesn't have a part of what feels like chaos in the world right now would be pretty ignorant of us, because what we have coming in is so much information, and now we are responsible for filtering all of that information to see which one is the one we should be listening to. And multiple ideas, multiple opinions. It isn't streamlined like it used to be. So what that does to us as a person to take on all of that, it's an incredible amount of stress. So when we talk about, is the world really as chaotic as it feels? Yeah, it is. Because we're allowing more in. We're kind of forced into it just because of technology. But what it's also done is it has removed us from that small community of people that we interact with on a daily basis, those we go to school with, those that we live in the house with, our family members, our neighbors. And it has made us community members with the entire world. So
yeah.
That's a lot of responsibility, and it's a lot of ideas, a lot of cultures to try and process. Was that what you expected me to say? It wasn't that sassy. It was just...
No, it wasn't. No, and yes, because, I don't know what people think, but we actually do fucking talk all the time, apart from this podcast. Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm aware of your... Yeah, yeah. So in your thinking then, in what you were saying, does is technology really that kind of that one major difference that throws everything into a whole different level of chaos? And I'm asking you, I'm asking kind of what you think on that, but as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, it absolutely changed everything.
Well,
I mean,
it did. I remember thinking back about around the time that you and I had first gotten married. We were a couple years married. And I was thinking my great-grandmother had passed away the year of our marriage, so about 6 months after we got married.
Right.
That was 1995. And she was born in 1901. And I used to just kind of fathom at that time all of the changes that she went through, from horse and buggy to automobile to bathroom outside the house to inside the house to oven in the house to microwave,
radio, television.
Yeah, all of the technology. And,
CB radio, telephones.
And I just would marvel at how gracefully she seemed to participate in life with all of those changes.
Yeah.
And as drastic as those changes seem, our lifespan, your and I's lifespan, is even 10 times that. We've got cars that can drive themselves. We have connection with any person on the planet we want to have connection with.
Yeah, we carry more computing power in our pocket,
our back pocket, for fuck's sake,
than what NASA used to put people on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild how it's. Oh man, I just hiccuped. How it snowballs.
So to think that, I give kudos to generations before, but I really give kudos to our generation right now, because we have had to make these monumental shifts in not just, oh, that's a really cool feature I now get to have in my house.
Yeah. To
how we actually have community, how we actually be a human being on the planet. It's a lot of adjustment. So when I hear, campaign slogans that say, make America great again, I just go, well, that's just stupid, because we're never going to be again. We just can't. Like, technology won't let us be again.
Yeah.
We will be something else.
Right.
So how can we be great something else?
Here. Yeah, yes. No, that's, yes. That's good.
So then if the world feels chaotic, we have a choice.
Yeah.
We can be overwhelmed by it, which would be a very valid choice, because I think it can be incredibly overwhelming, paralyzing. Let's hunker down onto grandpa's property and just do the way we know life was, the thing that feels safe, the thing that feels okay.
Yeah.
Or we say, my grandson lives in a world where he climbs up onto my bed to watch TV with us, and he goes and touches the screen to swipe it. Right? And he's not even 3 yet.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a future that is going to be unbelievable. At the rate that technology changes, we are going to have to choose to either stay back or to be ready to move with it.
Right.
So that, I think we're at this really crazy time where all of those generations and all of those past, present, and future are colliding at one time.
Yeah.
And we're trying to live in a present moment, but we still have the past, and we're contemplating what the future is, and it's really hard to stay present, right?
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Well, of course I am, because I'm always right.
Of course. Yeah, no, I just think that it's, I think that, one of the things is as you become more aware of the world around you, the world gets a little scary. Because I mean, and I do think that you know, it's always been scary. There's always been scary things in the world. Mm-hmm. But I think you're right that, you know, this, you know, in the age that we live in today, the scariness of things mm-hmm. have a much broader spectrum and can be a little more a little bit more of a real threat too. I mean, when you think about it, you know, what are the things that people used to be scared of? Well, you know, you're scared of, you know, war. Well,
a big us thing. Growing up, we were always scared of Russia.
Scared of Russia.
Funny how history
scared
repeats
of nuclear bombs. Scared of, you know, when you know, yeah. But
I mean, it's just like like I said, history just.
But those are really scary things. But at the same time, it's like those are still kind of like far off kinds of concepts, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, what kinds of things are people scared of now? Well, they're scared of identities being stolen. You know, okay, well, that can literally happen to anyone at any time in any place.
They're scared of catfishing.
They're scared of catfishing, which can happen to anyone, anytime, any place. They're scared of, you know,
the list is long. Yeah.
Those kinds of things that are real and present kinds of threats. Just because we use they're scared of the, you know. How much of our information is out there? How much do people know about us? How much, you know, is privacy even a thing? It is not. That was
does not exist.
That was a little sideline there, but yeah, those are real things, and so I think there's a part of it where we just kind of go numb to it, and so which is any kind of ongoing persistent threat, you either like I would say by and large as humanity, we either have to address it and neutralize the threat, or you have to ignore it. Mm-hmm. Because you can't just live under the threat of it and not do anything about it, you know, mm-hmm. forever. And so the chaos I think that we feel is that it's just coming from so many directions, you know, and that is a one of the, I would say one of the cons of the technological age that we live in, the information age that we live in, is that there is, you like people talk about shutting it off. You can't.
Well, we actually had that conversation with everybody, at that last campsite.
Yeah.
Because we have Starlink, and Starlink has changed the game for us to be nomadic, and not everybody there had Starlink, so we were having this conversation around you know, access to the internet, and somebody brought up that isn't it funny that we do this life to kind of get out of the normal, but yet we still stay plugged into everything. And it's really true. I mean, some of us really just have to work from the road in order to keep doing this lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
But to completely unplug, I think it's a really difficult thing now. And so we can keep fighting it, and we can say, okay, I need to unplug for a day or a week or, you know, a period of time. But ultimately, in order to be a citizen of this world, we're going to have to plug back in.
Right.
And we're going to have to understand how the world is working, or we're going to continue to feel overwhelmed, chaotic, frustrated, right?
Yeah. Not to mention that, can you actually unplug?
Right.
I mean, it's like, just seriously, when you think about it, when you think about, you know, the simple things that we use on a regular basis. I mean, you know, map apps and our cell phone, you know, just to stay in touch with friends and family. It's, you know, and of course there's the whole, you know, Netflix and social media and all that kind of stuff, which, okay, you could turn all those off, you know, read more. That'd be great. But then there's like, okay, well, what about how we live on the road? So we're just going to carry like suitcases of cash with us. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't need a suitcase for our cash. That's really funny to me.
Barely need a wallet.
Oh, we would need more than a wallet.
No, we wouldn't.
I would need at least a large manila envelope.
Oh, God. Not even.
Anyway, there's that. But, it's like, okay, well, then how are you going to replenish that cash? You got to, if you're going to do work somewhere, you're only going to find places that will pay you cash to work. And it's like, good luck with that. It's like, okay, so even the thought of going like truly off grid and just being like, you know what, we're just going to disappear from everything is near impossible.
Well, it's actually not that it's impossible or near impossible. It's that it comes with limits. So,
okay.
So because we met a couple at the expo who talked about how they are a cash only system. They don't have actual jobs that they're doing on the road. They pick up jobs as they go.
Oh,
and so
right.
this is how they fund themselves, right?
Yeah, and they just do odd jobs for cash. Yeah, right, no, you're right. You're right.
But with that comes other limits. There comes freedoms, but there comes limits as well. So it's just a choice. It's neither.
Yeah, but I think if a whole group of people tried to do that, you would find out how very hard it is, if not impossible, for everyone to be able to do that.
Especially if everything goes to Bitcoin, then we're really in trouble.
Or are we?
No, we're not. We're not.
We're just fine.
We're just fine.
Without a couple of... No, I was going to say couple of Bitcoin. That would be a lot of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We do not have a couple of Bitcoin.
No. I think that that usually when we feel stuck in life, we feel overwhelmed, we feel like there's chaos, it's because we don't know how to transist. We don't know how to move from the space I'm in to the next space. Maybe we don't have enough information. Maybe we don't know how to navigate that. Maybe we don't know how to make the decisions around that because we don't actually understand everything that's going on. There's a lot of factors.
Sure.
But transition in and of itself is difficult. And so when we choose to stay stuck and we choose to kind of fight the transition, then that's what it will be for us. It will be frustration, it will be fight, and people will go on without us. That's okay. It's a choice. You can do that. But there's also a flow in which the world is going, and technology is a part of that. And I think that if we want to move forward and we want to not feel frustrated all the time, we're going to have to figure that piece out.
Sure.
But I think it's why we feel so, it's not the only why. I think there's another why, but it's part of the why we feel so much frustration in our politics, in our social, like our communities, like how we feel polarized, because there's this let's go back, and then there's this let's go forward, and we don't know where we're supposed to be.
It's like tug of war.
It is. And I think that as humans, think about the times you've moved from one house to the next. The worst space is between the packing up and the unpacking. It's the worst space, right? And I feel like that's where we're at right now, particularly in America. I won't speak for the rest of the world. But that's where we're at politically, socially, just in life in general. We're between the packing up and the unpacking.
Sure.
I had a title for this podcast long before we started talking.
Oh, you did?
It doesn't seem appropriate now.
Oh, what was it?
Had something to do with goats.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit so much. I don't know. You can probably figure it out. So
I think it's my turn.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Road stories.
Yeah, we have some fun road stories this week, I think.
You go first.
I don't know. Oh, okay. So, So mine it kind of is around the same the Harvest Host party that we had at our house.
Oh my gosh! Night. Yes, I do know this story. Okay, go for it.
And yeah, we had after the happy hour at the place, we invited everybody.
Extended happy hour.
Yeah, and I had just I hadn't roasted coffee yet. That's right, I hadn't roasted coffee yet, but I had some leftover coffee, and I was like, I make coffee martinis, and they were all like, "What the hell? We have to try these coffee martinis." And so, and
I just walked away and said, "I'm getting it all ready," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, I don't know if they're gonna follow me. They might not like me. They might not come." And it was this long lull in between, and I wasn't sure if they would. Came,
yeah, and then there was a bunch of people here, yeah, and it was so much fun, and we talked and we laughed, and we, it was just like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
it was bliss.
Yes, and somebody brought out weed, and there was talk of other things, but that never happened. But there was, but still, it was a fun night. Well, there was lots of tasting of different things. So there was
we had some
espresso martinis.
We had peanut butter screwball.
Yeah,
so whiskey.
Screwball, which is a peanut butter whiskey. Yeah, and which is way too fucking sweet. And then somebody else brought some scotch, and I'm like, I don't really care for scotch, but I wanted to try it, and it was like this non-peaty, non-smoky scotch, and I was like, that's actually pretty decent.
It was really cool. It was like everybody brought their favorite thing.
Yeah.
And we just shared.
And again, there was like, the 30-year-old couple, and there was the 40-year-old us, and there was the 60-year-old person, and there was the 70-year-old couple, and we were all just having a wonderful time together.
And we were sharing stories.
Truly enjoying each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was a little
tipsy,
and it was late at night. Like you said, it was like 1 o'clock when we went to bed, and I have sleep apnea. Which is, a combination of being old and being overweight. And I have both of those things. So I got bad sleep apnea.
And what do you do to save your marriage?
Yes. Well, let me say before that, like, when you go to do a sleep apnea test, they hook you up to all these things, and then they have you sleep in the sleep center there. At least this was the way it used to be. They've changed a little bit now. And they just monitor you all night with all of these wires and tubes hooked to you and all this kind of stuff. I don't know how you fucking sleep anyway, but somehow I managed to sleep through it. And then got up the next morning, and I was like, so how'd I do? And it was just a tech there, and he's like, well, I can't really talk about the results. The doctor will have to talk to you about your results, but you definitely have sleep apnea. And I think at one point I had like a 2-minute apnea. Now what an apnea is like when your throat closes and you stop breathing. I stopped breathing for 2 minutes in the middle of the night, and it didn't wake me up. I just I finally gasped for air and then kept going on.
I'd probably kick you or
yeah. So that's what happens when I'm home, right? When I'm not at the sleep center, right? And so I sleep with a sleep apnea machine because it's like this forced air pressure that keeps my throat open so that I don't suffocate in the middle of the night. Okay. Right.
And so I sleep too.
Yes, and so you sleep too because I don't snore. I don't do any of those things.
Well, it's not about snoring. It's about thinking you're
the gasping. Yeah, it's the gasping. Yeah. So, a sleep apnea machine is pretty important for me to,
It's a part of why we had to engineer the electrical.
Because it's got to be, it's a machine. It's got to be plugged in all night and all that kind of stuff. And so, in my tipsy state, I go to bed and I kind of start, I'm on my phone first of all because I'm kind of winding down and I think I nodded off a little bit, and so you're like hitting me, and you're I'm like, put your mask on, and I'm like, all right. And so I put it on, and then a couple more times in the night, you're like, put your mask on, and I'm like, it's on, which I can't really talk. I'm like,
that was a good mimic.
That was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so because it covers my whole mouth, and so then I wake up at we went to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at 4:45. And I'm like, oh, something is not working with this thing. You're yawning in the middle of my story. What the hell?
You gave me alcohol.
Is it that boring? Is this a terrible road story?
No, it's not. Please give me.
Jesus.
I just yawn. It's just a thing.
You've never yawned on the podcast before. You've never yawned on the podcast before.
This drink makes me sleepy.
Oh, Jesus. Now I'm going to hurry and get this over with. You did it again. Just, are you fucking with me now?
That one I was.
Fuck. All right. So anyway, I'm like, this thing isn't working. And I finally like rip it off my head. And I kind of, go back to sleep and, just for a little while. And then I'm back up and awake and all that kind of stuff. Well, the next morning I'm telling you that something's wrong with my sleep apnea. And I looked down and it wasn't plugged in. So not only do I struggle with sleep apnea and, my throat closing and gasping for air, but then I put a large rubber, silicone rubber mask over my face with no air going into it. I don't know how I didn't die for real.
Seriously.
That's the first time I've ever done that in years of having a sleep apnea. It's the first time I've ever done that. You are still fucking yawning.
I just am.
All right. You know what? It's your turn.
I'm sorry. I'm getting sleepy.
It's your turn. I'm sorry to be boring you with my road story.
No.
What's your road story? It better be good. It better be goddamn good.
It's your fault. That's what it is.
What's your road story?
Oh my gosh. So this place that we're at right now.
Yeah.
Very hard earned.
God, you are tired, aren't you?
I am tired.
You just got tired all of a sudden.
I did.
Do you need me to tell this story for you? Stop yawning. It's terrible.
I know.
It's terrible that you're doing this.
Okay. It's really hot in here too, so it's just making me sleepy. No, we're driving up these different roads trying to find a place to, park and settle in. But we get into this one spot up here that I literally just had to stay out of the vehicle. I had to go for a walk. I had to stay away because all I heard was creaking and I could see the R-pod swaying. And I'm like, you jackknife the whole thing. It was a terrible thing.
Okay. Time out. Usually when you talk about like jackknifing something, it's because you're going down the road and you make a wrong, you swerve wrong or something, you jackknife your trailer or something. We were at the end of a road that we didn't know was ending, and it was a very tight space. And I was turning around, doing a probably 100-point turnaround with our Jeep and the trailer that spread out could not have fit in that space. And I think that's goddamn fucking amazing that I was able to do that.
I'm sure it is. But in the process of doing that, it was a full-on panic attack for me. I just had to hit this point where I'm like, we aren't sure if we're selling or not selling the Jeep. And so then all I can envision is that one of two things is going to happen. The R-pod is it's gonna get top heavy. It's gonna fall over and pull the Jeep over. Like the whole thing's gonna
and then it's gonna explode.
Right,
it's gonna explode in a ball of fire.
No. It wouldn't do that because that would be lucky.
With me in it.
No.
Last week you talked about killing me.
No.
This week you're imagining me.
No, what I mean is it would be lucky that didn't happen because it would be just bad enough that it really sucks and our whole life has changed and we don't know how to fix this or afford this or whatever.
Yeah.
But we're lucky because we're alive. That's the part I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
But then you finally come out and the whole time I'm just trying to I think I counted to 1,000 trying to get my panic level down.
And I trashed the Jeep. Trashed the trailer, didn't I?
Trashed it.
Oh no, there's not a mark on the Jeep or the trailer.
Well, all I could hear was that everything was falling apart and everything was falling on the inside. So
again, I just think it was pure driving genius.
We get to this next spot and I was just done. Like there was dirt and there was mosquitoes and there was hot and I was spent and I had a call that I had to be on in 15 minutes and a training call. So I had to be like really present. I had to like be in this mindset to be there to learn this stuff. And I just came in and I'm setting up my computer and I'm just bawling because it was just a lot.
It was.
It was just a lot.
It was
and
a lot.
Some days
Some days is a lot.
I like sand, but I don't really like dirt. I don't really enjoy camping my entire life. I like to be clean sometimes. I would like to know what it feels like to actually fix my hair, like to present to the world.
Right.
So it all just kind of collided in that moment. And so my road story is that no matter what kind of driver you can be, it's freaking terrifying to me. And I realize it goes back to my childhood, of course, because everything goes back to your fucking childhood. And my dad used to take us out in our Ford Bronco, and he would try and 4-wheel drive, but then we would kind of slide off of the side of the hill. And then he was like, everybody lean to this side so that we don't put the weight over there. I'm actually leaning, so that's why my voice went away. And I realized how terrifying that was as a kid. And it like we said, if it's something to be dealt with, it comes out on the road. And so for me, it came out there, and it was just a total like emotional meltdown.
Yes, yeah. This is very appropriate.
Road stories.
That's how we close that out.
I mean, it feels like my childhood. Suck it up, kid.
Road stories. Yes, that is my voice, by the way. If no one could tell, it's my voice. Okay, so let's talk about where we're going to be next week. But before that, just real quick, we want to mention that if you haven't seen our Getting Lost With You stickers or magnets, we have those for sale now. If anybody wants to pick one up, you should just go check them out. So where can they see those?
In either the Instagram or of either of our accounts. So we have a Getting Lost With You podcast, and then we have Getting Lost With You, which is just really the travel part. Either one of those.
Getting Lost With You has underscore between the words.
Yeah, it's
Getting
really
Lost With
frustrating.
You podcast is just one word. Yeah.
But either one of the links in those bios will get you to a place where you can purchase stickers.
Sure.
So our oldest daughter has all of our stickers for us
she'll ship
them out.
Yeah.
So
anyway, just go check them out because they're I think they're lovely.
Well, you can buy the sticker or the magnet. Also, we still have the first 20 people to sign up for Patreon. We'll get both of those.
Yeah, there's 19 left because we have our first signer. So yeah.
Yes. So that's how that works. And then it felt like there was something else in there. Oh, YouTube. So
we're putting
today. I just worked on getting us onto YouTube. So if that's your favorite channel to listen to podcasts, it's on there.
We don't have video yet. We're working that out.
It's a little complicated in a really small space. So,
but we're working it out. So, but for now, there's if that's a more convenient place to listen, then you can find us there.
Then you can find us there. It's an easy way to share too. But yeah, we love that people are listening. If you like
and letting us know that you listen, please just as much as we can hear from you, it's awesome because then we can respond and all that kind of stuff too.
And the other is I'm working really hard at this other podcast, Liberate Your Story podcast. I'm having a lot of fun, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, in creating the content for that, but and making that for the world. And then pretty soon I will be able to launch that episode of the Connected podcast with our new friend Amanda her story. So that will be coming soon too.
Yeah. So just to finish out here real quick, where we're going to be next week, the quick answer to that is who the fuck knows. So we're not entirely sure this time.
If we're going north or if we're going south, but we're going to get even more coastal because I have a big week coming up.
We got to get somewhere kind of set up where we can just really, you can just do your thing. So, but we will let you know on the next podcast where we are. We just don't know where that's going to be ahead of time.
I'm hoping it has a beach view.
Yeah, so that's kind of exciting. That's we're little adventure, right? So. All right. It's way past our dinner time. Let's go eat some dinner. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you, everybody.